Boys, we're back, episode number 2. How are we feeling? How's your game week been?
Mine's been mixed, actually. I've had some good results, some bad, but I think that the news of Boscagli's injury coming through a bit late, I think initially it looked like he thought he was going to be all right, but it's looking like surgery and a long time out now, so that kind of wiped out my what was looking like a good start to my all-star rare. But I'm probably gonna hit the 0.2 threshold if Malacia starts, so I'll take that and just wait and see now if I'm lucky enough to have any really good hits on the other ones on the. I think my all-star rare pro got a couple of PSV players in there hoping to hit big, so fingers crossed really.
Brilliant. What about you, Quinny? How do you get on? Are you got a team playing just now, or?
Yeah, I've got Leipzig playing now. They're winning 1-0 at half time. None of my guys are involved in the goal, unfortunately. But I've got a little mini stack running. And, I had all black and goals last night with a clean sheet, which is very unlike him, but he got one. And so you never know. It might come off lucky this time.
I think All Black's probably one of the most underpriced goalkeepers. He's a top 5 goalkeeper, but he's not getting clean sheets. He's not getting decisives. And I had Ter Stegen. I just sold him today, just a limited card, because I seen how undervalued he was. 2 Europa League games ago, I took a profit, bought him again when he dropped, and then if they go out tonight, he'll be undervalued again, so I would just pick him up. I just think everybody in Europe's volatile now, but if you're still in the European competitions, your price is decent. It's mad. It's a mad way the game works, but no, it's good. We're all in it. I've actually got a few Barca players playing tonight, mixed with a couple of Atlas players.
Nice.
I had Kike to make it a 4-man stack. Obviously I would have made one more, but obviously his injury, he ruled him out. So I've got Frankie de Jong, Ter Stegen and Dembele mixed with a couple of boys for Atlas. So I actually checked today, hope to see what number 1 in the world was, but I think it's fair to say after seeing Stish's tweet, you're not winning a podium this week unless you've got, is it River Plate?
River Plate, yeah, the stacks were absolutely insane. I couldn't believe the scores I was seeing. Like, there's about 20 teams over 420 points. They've all got like at least 3 River Plate players in them. One of them, well, you mentioned, I think like in second place as it stands, didn't even have a 5th player. It was just 4 of them, but they all hit over 100. Insane.
Incredible.
I think one of those defenders as well, I was talking to Harry Trades earlier on, and he was saying that one of the defenders who finished on a 70 for River Plate also had a goal line clearance that he wasn't credited with. So
they're going to get bigger, them scores.
There might be some octa adjustments.
Can't be too greedy. I seen the goalkeeper get a 90 something, I think it was.
That was big.
The guy who won it, lowest player, was an 88, Benedetto. That's scary.
I was looking at Benedetto a few weeks ago when I thought I'd seen the news a little bit early, and then I went onto the market to see what his price was saying, and I thought, I think everyone sussed it. But then I looked a few days later and his price had gone massively up since, so I think I should have pulled the trigger on that one. But he looks a good buy if anyone picked Benedetto up.
Good player. And what about the legends? What do you think of that? Obviously this week's been the first introduction, but there wasn't many prizes, was there?
No, I think it was at 25 in the limiteds. And I did have a little look at the results to see what was possible. And I noticed that I think out of the 25 in the limited legends, only one team in the top 25 didn't have 3 legends played. So when we were talking last week about maybe picking one up, I don't think picking one up is going to be enough. I think you're going to need at least 3. So I'm not sure how likely I am to be picking any up. I mean, if they ever get given away as rewards in the non-legend divisions, then maybe I'll have a look at it then if I'm lucky enough to win one. But I don't think I'm likely to pick one up at the current state of affairs. Another thing I was surprised about actually was I was expecting to see more of the double ups. I thought, if you've got a Tadic and a Cruyff, or if you've got a Veerman and a Hullet, then you might use both of them in the same team and hope that you kind of double down on a good call. And I think I only saw a few of that in that maybe the top 50, but in the top sort of winning positions, there was maybe only 1 or 2 that I noticed, I think, had a Tadic or a Sangare, or there was another one, I think it was a defender that was used quite a bit. But yeah, I'm I wasn't too surprised by the results. I think I'm glad I didn't pick that one legend up I was tempted by this time last week.
What about you, Quinny? What do you think of the Legends things? I've seen the prices are low. If they were utility in normal leagues, they would have probably been 3, 4, 5 times. What do you think about it? What do you think it's worthwhile entering? Do you think the rewards are
Well, after last
enough?
week, I'm not thinking so. I had Rio Hatate in the limited, since so obviously he's a defender card, so he brought in 90. I had David Silva as well, who brought in 88, which I was a wee bit surprised about. But then I was like, oh, cool, I must be in the mix this week. Like, these are legend scores that that my normies have brought in, you know. But I was 360 points basically, and I finished 485th
Wow.
with 300 and basically 60 points, you know. So it's just, then it was 25 for rewards, which are just legend cards. And then the pro one, I think it was just a podium, but it was like some signed shirts and stuff, which is kind of cool. And maybe they'll make that better. But like at limited, yeah, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, it's a difficult
I had two
one.
legends, by the way.
It's a difficult one if you're hitting 360 and not even anywhere close to the rewards, and it's not as if you're getting Mbappe's, Haaland's. You're probably better.
Or even Eve.
Obviously, I'm just speaking for myself. You're probably better just investing in an under 23 squad and hoping that does the business, because there's probably a better chance of getting your money back. I believe the legends are more for the collectible rather than the utility.
Yeah.
I would love, and I probably will buy a David Villa. Got a wee soft spot for David Villa. I'll probably buy one of him because he's cheap, just for the collectability, not even to use him for the utility.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that with Hullet. When I saw Hullet announced, I thought that's a banging card. It looks nice as well, the Hullet one. If you like the look of the design's a little bit different. I quite like the look of it, but yeah, in terms of utility, I agree. I think it's probably not going to be. It's not going to be good enough at the moment, and the fact that like you're only winning a legend card, so like you kind of like you're buying one to win pretty much the same as something you've already bought. It's like I'm not tempted. It's not tempting me in enough just yet.
Yeah, imagine you finish 10th or something, you've got an amazing score, and then you get a David Villa that's worth 0.03 or 0.04.
Yeah.
You're gutted. You're not even. You're doing your hardest to get in a. It's the hardest one to break into, and pointless. But no,
There was quite a lot of entries in it as well. So I wonder one thing about it is like how much people may have targeted it that first week. Maybe it took a few of the big cards out of the All-Star, the U23, the Challenger Limited. I haven't had a proper.
There was Messi's and stuff in the winning teams. So
yeah,
you might be right there.
So I wonder how much of an impact it had. You know, at limited level, when the supply is so high, I don't know how much of an impact it can really have, because it might only take out 15 to 30 like really strong teams, as opposed to like in rare, taking like 15 Messis out of the pool would be a massive.
I'm with you, but I agree. I think I got like maybe 400 points in my Champion Europe Limited, and I think I got the same the week before. I can't remember, but I got a better prize this week, a tier 1, whereas last week was a tier 2. So maybe it has got an impact. Maybe it's a small one, but maybe it's a lot easier to. I felt anyway this week the prizes were more justified for the points you get. Not that I'm being negative or complaining, because I love the idea that you can win any prizes. Even when I get a tier 3 limited, I'm buzzing. I did feel that this week was a bit more fruitful than the previous week.
Yeah, I did notice actually that the Underdog Pro, so like the rare cards version, the winner of that got an Mbappe. So you know, if you can win an Mbappe with cards that have got the like 40 average across the last 15, that is good, right? That makes me look at that.
There's a lot of research to go in as well, in terms of people were sending me. I was asking on Twitter, and people were looking and seeing like Jesus Navas and who's not really played well, and so you could actually get a lot of joy out researching and getting your rewards out it.
Man, when you look at that Mbappe, you just think like if your research hit on the right weekend to win an Mbappe rare, that is like as good as it gets, really, isn't it, on the platform?
That's your gallery.
Yeah.
Got a large boost, a very large boost. But no, talking about other youngsters, What about the news of Vandevoordt to Leipzig? But he's not moving for 2 years and 3-4 months.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I mean,
What? How does? I don't understand how football works now. I've never. There's been times where 2 years ago I was a terrible footballer, and 2 years later I was good, and then the opposite way around. I don't. Is he a star, Quinny? I know you. You've got him. Is that right? Have you got
Aye,
super rare or he's rare?
I've got his like 1 of 100 first ever card, basically.
Oh, brilliant. What?
So I'm all over him. I love it, man. Leipzig kind of supporter as well, so I think it's a great. But it is super weird. It was like contract commences 2024, which is like you've never heard anything like it, have you? You know, sometimes you get the whole buy them and loan them back, but that's what they say. They don't say, "Oh, our contract commences."
So just before you continue, how's that work with him in terms of salary then? Will he get his salary until then, or will he still be on the wage? Because I wouldn't imagine he'd be on a massive wage at Genk right now. They're not even in the playoff one. They're not even in the top 6 in the Belgian league. So surely he'll be desperate unless he gets some part of the fee. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how football works, because that's the first time I've ever seen something that far away.
Yeah.
yeah, it's mad, isn't it? 'Cause what does that mean for his salary? Like what incentives are there for Genk to like keep him playing? Like there must be some kind of part of that contract that Genk an interest to keep him fit, keep him playing, it's mad when you think about it.
I had a feeling that it must have had something to do with financial stuff, and I started even thinking, is it maybe something to do with financial fair play? Like maybe are they maybe paying the fee the now, but they don't want them for 2024, and they still want all that benefit of the loan back nonsense, or I don't know, or maybe they're keeping the financial fair play money for 2024, they're not spending any money today. I thought that maybe there's an angle like that going on. But yeah, for me, Martin, he'll definitely be wanting a sign-on bonus, Tony, won't he? For waiting 2 years.
For instance, a top player nowadays could be on anything between 50 grand and 150 grand a week at that level. At Genk, he's not on that, 100% not. He'll be on a fraction of that, so surely it'll be in his interest to go there in the summer now. Like, maybe he thinks, right, okay, I'm definitely going to get it in the future, but just using my business head, if I was him, I'd be phoning up Leipzig and saying, look, you're giving me the contract now, or I'm coming now, or I'll go, because a lot of teams in the world want him, don't they? He's the most highly sought after player in Sorare in terms of goalkeeper, not in terms of age, in terms of utility. If he was playing every week for an Ajax, a Feyenoord, he would be the most expensive goalkeeper in the game, no?
Yeah, I agree. I think it only makes his utility or his Sorare perspective like even better, because I know it's kind of hard to imagine like what is Genk's like motivation to keep him playing or whatever now because of this contract nonsense or whatever, but he should play for the next 2 years. He's probably the best keeper they've got. But
I think you like his backup, both of you like his backup, but just to finish on that, I think it must be part of the contract. He needs to play X amount of games, and Leipzig pay his wages. If he doesn't play, Genk pay them. And if not, then they can maybe have a recall if he doesn't play, say, 75% of the games until January. There must be something like that. But sorry to interrupt you. You were just about to mention his understudy. Is it? Well, understudy, is he not older than him? Lyson? Is he older, younger?
He's got to be about the same age, right? Toby Lyson, or is he like 20 or something like that? About the same, like just a little bit older. I know he's still an under 23 on Sorare. I can't remember his exact age, but I was looking at that as soon as that was announced. I actually missed the fact that it was 2024. I looked at it and I thought he might be worth a pickup right now. And then I seen he was 2024, but then I thought about it and I thought, if you are Genk and you know you're selling your number one, but you've got this young kid waiting in the wings who, by all accounts, is pretty good as well. What do you do with him for the next 2 years? Because if you need to play Vandevoordt to keep him on the books at Leipzig, then what happens to Lyson? Do you think he gets a loan now, or
he needs to? For me,
surely that's what I think, right? He's got to get first team experience.
Given it from a footballer's perspective, if I'm him, I know somebody's signed somewhere else and he's still playing ahead of me. I'm thinking, when does my contract run out? if it's 2024, I'm waiting and I'm signing for a bigger team because he's highly thought of. I'm sure Anderlecht, Bruges, all these teams would come unless the teams say, look, go and get games. You're guaranteed to be our number one. But I'm sure license, be on end all for license isn't to play at Genk. He'll probably be looking at Vandevoordt and thinking, I can join him. I can go and play at a level like that. So why should I waste 2 years of my career being an
Yeah,
understudy at a guy who's not even contracted to us anymore?
Yeah.
What do
yeah,
you think, Quinny? Do you
I think he gets a loan. I think that, that these teams, like, obviously you've been there firsthand, but they love their youth academies, like standing them up, so having another goalkeeper come out of the academy that can replace him, they'd be mad not to put him out on loan and keep him sweet, and then you just bring him back in, he's cost you nothing, and if he can be just as good or better, you let him go for big money, Vandevoordt, and then you've got your replacement.
Stish as well? It's not as if he's learning from Simon Mignolet or a massive experienced keeper. He's learning from a guy younger than him.
yeah,
So by not playing games, he's not learning the game side of things. So it's not as if he's training with a world like a Courtois, a All Black, and he's thinking, right, I can take this, I can take this. Vandevoort's learning every day more than anybody. So I'm sure he needs to go and play games and get put into in the midst of the fire and see how he reacts.
definitely. And if he's not, like you said, like what is he thinking? Because he's got 2 years to kind of prove himself to Genk that like he's ready to step up. So he can't do that if he's sat on the bench for 2 years waiting for Vandevoordt to leave. So surely he goes on loan. Definitely feel like he's going to be one of the main keepers to watch, because if he does go out on loan, that price, I think he's at 0.2 or under at the moment on as a rare. And with also like the news of come August, all players in the rare divisions are going to have a rare keeper, and he's a U23 utility as well. That price at least triples for me. If he goes to a club that he's going to be number one, especially in the Challenger, if he goes to like a Dutch club or another Belgian side, or if he goes out on loan to the Championship or something like that,
Yeah.
his price triples for me straight
Do
away.
on that note, do you think all rares goalkeepers already they're expensive compared to other cards? I know that. Do you think they go up and the floor becomes higher due to this common thing?
I think so. I think at the minute we've got like that end of season dip happening, which is natural anyway. I'm sure Quinny can agree that I remember seeing this time last year and being a little bit worried, and I'm seeing that worry seep into the community now. But this is like natural when players are coming to the end of their season. People start trying to like rotate into Europe, rotate out of Europe into America and Asia. So this is a good time, if any, to buy. But even better, knowing that we've got that change coming in August. And I do think that like even as a trading strategy, I can't see how goalkeeper prices where they're at now in Europe can go down from where they are as in the rare cards. If you've got a goalkeeper that's starting, I keep getting offers on my Austrian keeper, Koffler. He's an older keeper, but I keep getting offers for like 0.1. I'm never selling him at 0.1. I think I paid 0.27 for him, which at the time I thought was cheap. And I'd expect that to bounce back to that sort of level come the
Why is
beginning
he
of
so
next.
low? Just because Austria's got to close out?
I think it's his age, Austria closing out, but also those offers are quite punty. Like I think his price is probably like his true value in the market right now is probably like 0.18 or 0.2, mostly down to the fact he's old, and he's got that question mark over him whether or not he will be number one again next season, etc. But like these offers that are coming in are definitely not good offers, like 0.11, etc.
Yeah, that's mad. I've got a goalkeeper that's Shunin from Dynamo Moscow. And it's the same way Akinfeev. When they sign a contract extension, they just go back up naturally. So these goalkeepers are really good to have because the utility on them for that price is incredible. But if the common cards go out, these are the goalkeepers that are going to go up more than anybody, I think, because these are the affordable ones. So the half the players, whoever are using it,
I
who are
agree.
needing a common goalkeeper every week, then go for the cheapest goalkeepers. So these are the ones that are going to rise for me the biggest percentage, because if somebody's at 0.15 just now and they've got a utility, I think they need to go to 0.3 or 0.4 because everybody needs a goalkeeper, and it now means if there's, I don't know how many people playing in rare, but if everybody needs it, if you looked at the percentage just now who use a common, that's gone. It's going to make it a free for all. Obviously, the more cards that are coming out, the longer the game's going on, but there's more users coming in as well. I just think that's where the money's to be made in terms of not for utility, but if somebody's investing, but also for utility. You're going to need a real goalkeeper. I've only just started having 2 goalkeepers this week in preparation for the fact that I can't use a common and try and grind ETH anymore.
That's it. I think, I remember when the news came out, someone posted the stats up and it was like 70% of players in the All-Star have a common keeper. So, it's common sense surely that if those people want to continue grinding ETH, they need the cheapest goalkeeper at the very least. Like you said, I think that floor price of the cheapest keepers, if they're starting, you can double it. Definitely, for me.
100%. Did your man just score there, Quinny?
No, I was laughing at Stish's common sense pun that he made right after talking about common goalkeepers.
I like
but,
capture. I must be a wee step behind you.
We were chatting strategy earlier on, and like backup goalkeepers has probably been the most kind of like profitable passive strategy that I've done. In terms of like a goalkeeper who is like a number 2 now, but by all merit he will be a number 1, or he's end a contract, getting a loan next year, that kind of stuff. And when you add that on top of like ones that, even number 1s that are underpriced as well, like I personally like buying number 2s. So me hearing like Stish reckons, and you guys are talking about some of these keepers that are a bit cheaper than now. I wonder how much some of these backups that I normally get quite excited about. Because a backup can be 0.08 and then end up at 0.4.
So Quinny, see on that subject, give me a underpriced number 1 and a underpriced backup in your eyes. Just off the bat, it doesn't need to be priced, but one that you think. Then I'll ask you after, Stish. I know we're not giving them the advice to who to sign, but people want to know your kind of thoughts on it.
Well, I've got a goalkeeper that I'll just make sure it's priced now. But I think one goalkeeper that was underpriced, especially when I just sold mine because I'm going to get a new season version with a nicer picture on it, is Jonathan Bond at the Galaxy. His prices kind of went back up. I sold him a wee bit less.
I looked at him. He got a clean sheet. No, he didn't get a clean sheet the weekend, but he got a good score.
Yeah, 54. I'm just looking at it now.
Without a decisive, it's not too bad.
But another goalkeeper, so I like Bond. I think actually the Galaxy will have a really good season. But I've got a guy who's got a limited supply called Axel Werner. He was an Elche goalkeeper. He's only actually got 10 rares. But he moved to Arsenal in Argentina. Might be a loan, or no, I think it might be a free. I don't know, but he's moved to Arsenal in Argentina. He was a number 2 at Elche. I tried to get him as a number 2, and he's only got 10 rares, so there wasn't many auctions. But I was trying to be a right tight bugger with it, and like, oh no, that auction went a wee bit high. I'll wait for the next one. And then I forgot about him, and then I realised they'd transferred. I had to buy one off the secondary market for like, I think it was about a $0.25 or something like that. But But again, I just get like Axel Werner when he was a number 2. Like he used to be a number 2 at Atletico Madrid. And I think he's got a few Argentina caps, like 2 or 3, nothing huge. So it's like I like there's little backups like that knock about quietly that you don't really see.
You can make.
Yeah, once I have some sort of profile already. I remember last year Odysseus was a big one. He played for Benfica last night in the Champions League. But last year he fell out with the manager. Like they had a fight or something, and he was number 2 in Leite. I should remember this. He was like the 36-year-old. He was the number 1 for a while. And I bought an Odysseus, and I was like, I don't know what's going to happen to him, but he doesn't stay on the bench for another year, And you just, so I try and make.
He's an expensive keeper now. He's around about an ETH. I think he's maybe dropped. Maybe 0.8 because I had him for my Benfica team and I was struggling to sell him.
He's a good one, but again, like those number 2s like that have a kind of profile. Like, I've not got any off the top of my head. Sorry, Tony, because I've not been digging into them. But I like Axel Werner. I paid 0.39 for mine, and there's actually 2 on the market. One's at 0.3 and one's at 0.5. So if you're listening to this, then who knows? The good thing I like about that Axel Werner is his L15 is always under 40. So he's not great.
Hope he gets a move to a better team then.
I think my favourite undervalued keeper that I've got, and I always shill him to all my friends that are like, what keeper should I buy? Is Sergino in Consadole. Because he's like 38 years old, so he's super cheap. He's like 0.28, but he started every game I've watched since I think I bought him, and he only missed one game recently. And I was looking at I think it's Nakano is like the backup there. He's young, and he was expected by a lot of the sort of like Japanese Sorare community last year to take over from Sugino this season. So I think I picked a limited of his up at one point, just in case the switch happened over the pre-season. And then the season started and Sugino's back in again. But recently, he had COVID. So everyone's expecting the number 2 to step in, and he didn't. Another old goalkeeper came in, and the youngster stayed on the bench. So that, for me, cemented Sugino's place even more, because the one goalkeeper that's young that everyone's waiting to step into his shoes stayed on the bench even when Sugino had COVID and was out for a week, and he stepped straight back in the week later. So I've just had a look at his price, and he's on the market at 0.28. He looks solid. Obviously, in Japan, he's got an L40 of 48, an L15 of 52. He's good. He puts up good scores. I've watched him a few times as well, and he is a good goalkeeper. He gets quite a lot of sweeper keeper points because they pass it back to him quite a bit. So his all-around for a goalkeeper is quite useful at 0.28, considering you got that off-season utility there. Sugino is someone that that I think is a great keeper to have. I've got his super, and he's brilliant. He puts up big scores quite often. You know, he's one of those keepers, if he keeps a clean sheet, he's a 70 plus because he's all around so good. In terms of the number 2, I think there's a couple of keepers that I've been looking at that, like, this isn't even a number 2, but Matthias Liss, who plays at Altay in the Turkish league, I think they're looking like they're going to go down. So his price that's priced in at the moment. But I've been reading up reports. He was putting up some pretty decent scores a few weeks back. I was looking at him, try and give my brother some advice on like who he might like buy. He's looking at trying to get his first rare keeper, and I was looking at his stats. But then I was looking at, they look like they might go down. But I was doing a little Google search on him, and I'm seeing that like apparently Fenerbahce and Galatasaray are both looking at him for next season. So if they do go down, he might not be a bad pickup now, but a potentially risky one because he is a number 1. I might be wrong, but I think he might be in the Polish setup as well. So he might be like in amongst the keepers for the World Cup. But statistically, he looks really good. He makes a lot of big saves. So if he does go down, he might be worth a pickup.
Even that, if he's playing just now, goes down, his price drops, and he gets a move, even to be number 2, you can sell him for profit now, because people always have that shadow of, is he going as a number 2 or is he going as a number 1? Plus he's moved to a better club. Obviously there's a window of opportunity there. He
definitely looks good. Another one I'm holding, who I've had for a while, is Etienne Green at Saint Etienne. Obviously he's 20 years old, England under 21 goalkeeper. He's kind of like found himself out of the pecking order a little bit at Saint Etienne, but I think that's mostly down to he picked up an injury at a time where they really needed to start picking up points. So they brought in Bernardoni on loan, and he's like the number 1 at Saint Etienne now, while they're in this like relegation dogfight. I guess like having that little bit of extra experience is where like the managers like put his faith into Bernardoni as the number 1, but he's on loan, and the manager said in like interviews that he fully expects Etienne Green to be back as number 1 next season when Bernardoni returns from his loan. But there's also a load of interest from Premier League clubs because of the England under 21 connection, obviously. And yeah, I think like Newcastle, Southampton, Palace, and Brentford are all linked to him. I'd be a bit gutted if he moved to one of them as a holder, but I'd like, maybe I think he probably does start at Newcastle and probably at Southampton and Brentford. Maybe not so much at Palace. I think Gaeta probably gets in ahead of him. But if any of those clubs do pick him up, I'd expect him to go out on loan at his age to a championship club probably. And that would be great. I'd love to see him at a strong championship club, nail down that number 1 for a season.
Utility.
Be great. I think he's 20 years old. England under 21 international, currently the number 2. His value at the minute is much lower than it was when I picked him up. But I fully expect him to be back in the number one, definitely before he turns over 23. I think he's still got some U23 utility at some point.
Yeah, no, sounds brilliant. I didn't know much about him, but while you were talking there, I just looked at his Sorare data, and his price is high for a reason. So obviously it aligns with the manager saying he'll be back in next year.
Yeah.
But no, we've spoken enough about goalkeepers, right? Now it's time for somebody who embarrasses goalkeepers. Robert Lewandowski. What are we saying? Robert Lewandowski to Barca. Quinny, what are you saying? Are you buying he's rare and he's limited if he goes there? Because the way Xavi ball is, he could get 100 goals in a season.
Easy, man. I don't know. I think it'll happen. It went really. It was the big news for about a day or so there, but I think since Bayern got knocked out of the Champions League, they've probably told him not to be going into the press and doing, Barca quotes and all that now. But I think it'll be absolutely incredible. Like, how does he not do the sort of numbers that Messi and Ronaldo used to do in La Liga? That's what I think. 50 goals a season in the league.
It has to be, because the way he's playing just now for Bayern, the way he's smashing goals in, and the way Barca are playing, obviously taking away the last couple of weeks he's been a bit quiet, but this season, last season, and the way Barca are now playing under Xavi, I don't understand how him, Dembele and Ferran Torres, or him, Aubameyang and Dembele don't put up numbers close to what Messi, Neymar and Suarez were putting, because it's there to be had. Barca are only going to get better with age, and him teaching Ferran, Aubameyang, Usman, all these players, his little tips and tricks, it can only go one way for Barca for me, and that's a very, very, very positive move for them. The only problem would be financial, but I think if he was money driven, he would have went to PSG or something. So I think it's probably down more to the sporting objective. I know he will be highly paid, and it sounds as if I'm talking about every footballer's wages in this podcast, but I think a lot of his will be driven by Barca. He wants to play for Barca, Spain, him, his family. I think they can win the Champions League next year, and I think if he goes there, my money, not that I'm a betting man, that's just the expression, would firmly be on them winning the Champions League. I do think so. What do you think, Stish? What about that move? Is that a match made in heaven, or is that a...
I agree. I think the setup in La Liga suits him. It suits his style of play. Like you said, Xavi ball. He's going to get so many opportunities. You probably put him on pens as well, wouldn't you? Like at the moment, he's going to get so many opportunities to score there. And it's mad. I was thinking about it because of his age as well, and I think that like this era of footballers is different from what we've seen. Like we used to talk about footballers getting over the age of 32. And it's like, oh, they're on their way out. They've got one big move left or whatever. But in this generation, we've got like your Messis, Ronaldos, Lewandowski. We've already seen it with Ibrahimovic. When do these players slow down? And the kind of striker that he is, he doesn't rely on his pace too much. His positioning, his shooting ability. He's still got plenty of seasons in him.
These are finely tuned athletes.
Exactly. They look after themselves. They're not like footballers of the old days.
No.
And yeah, I can't see him slowing down at Barca. If he goes there, be interesting to see what happens to like Memphis and a few of those kind of players that are maybe like on the sidelines a bit more than they'd like to be at Barca, because he'll fall down the pecking order a bit more, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if like we see Memphis come the other way as part of that deal.
I think Memphis would be unbelievable business for Barca, because he's came in for free, scored goals, they've reduced his salary straight away, and then they'll sell him for 25 million because somebody's going to pay that. He's a star player. He's still he would go to Ajax and score every week. He would go to Newcastle, play every week. He would probably your Tottenhams and stuff would be linked with him, and Arsenal's, these kind of teams, because he got a move to Barcelona. So you're talking, he's the upper echelon. He's the kind of player that most clubs would want. But unfortunately, Barca are in a different direction, and they need stars right now. Memphis is probably just a little bit away from that. I don't know if you agree with me, Quinny, but he's probably for me an Arsenal Tottenham kind of star player rather than a Chelsea, Man U. If that does that make sense?
Aye. I'd love to see him go to Bayern as part somehow. I think he'd slot in at Bayern all right. But if he was to go to England, like, aye, completely. I don't think he's like, yeah, he's definitely like the tier down. He's never going to be in the Ronaldo, Messi, Suarez category, but he's good, man. I really like him. And I think a big thing that gets missed with all this Barca transfer chat is Barca still own Griezmann. Everyone keeps forgetting about Griezmann. I do all the time as well, but
He was good last night.
I forgot that.
What happens to Griezmann? He's meant to go back there in the summer. You know what I mean?
I think they'll get a bit of money for him. I think some Newcastle, for instance, would go, right, there's 40 million for Griezmann, just to pay a premium over the head of. But I'd love to see Griezmann at like an Arsenal or something. But I think he would rather go to an Inter Milan, an AC Milan, or and go and get the lifestyle. But I'd love to see Griezmann under Arteta.
Griezmann's openly said he'll go to like Vegas and play football. If you know what I mean.
He's right,
he loves America and that.
He loves basketball, isn't he?
I've seen that, to be fair. I've seen he's into his NBA, but that'd be brilliant. I think you need to pick up a few Griezmann cards soon if he's going to America, because he could turn into Lewandowski over there.
Because he's the sort of guy that would just do that, kind of like Beckham. Like, I don't care. I'm going to go. I want to do it. That's what I'm doing.
I'm sure.
Lifestyle and whatever.
I've definitely read an interview where he said like he 100% wants to play in the MLS, whether or not it's too early for him. But he's said it openly in interviews that he wants to play in the MLS during like his career. So whether that's now, I don't know. But
you think he'll maybe wait one more Euro cycle? He's won the World Cup. He'll maybe give the World Cup one more crack. Wait one more Euro cycle, so that's maybe 18 months, is it? Yeah. After the World Cup, and then. Maybe after that, I think that's him. And again, similar to Lewandowski in terms of a player that doesn't rely on his pace, he could be a pickup for anybody to use for the next 5 years, because in America he's going to grind. And there's so many players. Insigne, I think the utility in America could be amazing due to the fact that you're going to get so many star players going that the longer it goes, the longer it grows. You'll get a lot of players. I see Belotti's linked with the same team that Insigne is going to. It's crazy. I think it's just going to end up. Obviously, you boys love Asia. I've not really got the time to watch Asia because how early it is in the morning, etc. But I think America would be the one I'd be looking at and saying, right, these people are going to get sucked in by the money, the lifestyle, rather than going to Asia and. Do you know what I mean?
That's
I think it'd be a lot more difficult for these star players to go there.
Yeah. I was listening to a K-League podcast today, funnily enough, and they were interviewing a lot of the players out there. It's like an English-speaking podcast, and they were interviewing a few of the players from like Eastern Europe that have gone to play out there, and they all kind of like get together and have a coffee in the cities that they're playing in and that. And yeah, I think it sounds like a bit of a niche lifestyle, but I guess it's like a completely different pace of life going to play in like Korea as opposed to going to the MLS, where, the lifestyle in America is very similar to a lot of like major European cities, whereas going to like somewhere like Gyeongbuk or like Jeju Jeju's like a little island in it looks beautiful actually in Korea, but yeah, I mean, the lifestyle completely different. Some players just love being like in the city, in the hustle and bustle. And I think you still get that in America if you want it. Whereas you go to most parts in Asia, you can walk down the street, no one recognizes you, no one bothers you, unless you're like someone like David Beckham or Ronaldo, or, like if you're Insigne or someone like that, I don't think, you're getting noticed as much if you went to Asia.
I've heard the boys going to be. I heard one back in the day, I can't remember, I can't say the player, I don't know who it was, but get linked with a move to Swansea. Boy said, I'm not going anywhere other than London. One boy said, I'm not going anywhere other than London, and it makes sense. Do you really want to go, and if you're a multi-millionaire, do you really want to go and go and live in a place that you don't enjoy just for a bit of money, but they've already got stacks of?
Exactly, yeah.
Why would?
Yeah, probably better than any. Like, is it as like a lot of people say, like the classic footballers, like want a big night out. They want to be amongst it. They want, like
No, I think the big thing would be for kids getting good schools,
yeah,
going out with the wife to get good meals. That all that stuff's important. English speaking schools for a lot of people would be massive, and I think see countries like Dubai and Qatar,
yeah,
they'd probably I think they offered to build Xavi or Pirlo a school for their kids. So
wow.
I'm sure I don't know if that's just somebody's made that up and I've Quinny's back.
I
And
mean, that's amazing if that is true.
in so these countries, but there's only so many players these people sign. So I think MLS is really one. Ronaldo could end up there.
Yeah,
Zlatan's been already. Messi could end up there. I'm sure Neymar could end up there, if not Brazil. So I think MLS could be really, really one of the leagues that could end up flying, if not being one of the top leagues, because for some reason it's not already. But if you can get these star players there, I think it could take off massively.
I think that's like the dream move in it. If you've got like a 32, 33-year-old player who's like banging good scores for you now in Europe, and the news comes out that they're moving to the MLS, you'd be well happy with that, wouldn't you? As a card holder.
Insigne's probably the best example. He's flying for Napoli, but his price probably rockets when he goes there and scores a goal or two, because
Yeah,
potentially could be the best player in the league, whereas at Napoli he's probably more one decisive one week, then misses one or two, and then gets a couple. There he could get a decisive every week and literally not give the ball away. He could
yeah.
be
But
a
the kind of
be a
player he is as well. He's like a classic number 10, isn't he? He gets goals, but he gets on the ball so much, and his build up plays great. Like he's going to get so many assists, as many as he will get goals.
and
I
big
think his all
chances
around is going to be
created, and
enormous over there.
yeah, no, definitely. And just to finish us off, couple of points added in here. There's no Belgium. Ajax aren't playing.
Yep.
I don't know if the Eredivisie is that all off, or is it just Ajax that aren't playing?
There's one fixture, but it's like down the bottom end of the league, so it's not like anyone we need to worry about.
So we're talking Bruges, Anderlecht, etc. aren't playing. Ajax aren't playing. Sporting Lisbon v Benfica
Yep.
means one of these stacks isn't going to. Well, they could, but one of these stacks isn't going to dominate, I'd imagine. There's also Dynamo Moscow have got an easier fixture against Akhmat. Zenit v Ural. Galatasaray have got an easier fixture, and so Fenerbahce. Do you think this is a week that stacks smash it out the water, or do you think this is a week where mixed teams really, really do well?
I think Challenger is like very appealing this weekend because of it. I've just had a little look to remind myself actually, because I looked at some of the Russian, I think like Dynamo Moscow, CSKA Moscow have got good fixtures, but I've just had a little look. Another team that I forgot about is Porto, and they've actually got a pretty good fixture this weekend. So I think Porto's another side that you do see stacks. So I think we might see Porto stacks near the top. But other than that, unless you're holding a Porto stack, I don't think there's too many of like the obvious stacks out there that are going to absolutely smash it this weekend in Challenger. So I think if you've got a good 5 Challenger players, you've got to be looking at that as a potential place to put your best players this weekend, I reckon.
No,
Probably because I don't play Challenger, but when I hear that, I just think under 23s feels a lot better this week because there's not that many goalkeepers anyway. Like Tani can't play because he's playing Gamba. Safanov is out with COVID. And then when you throw all that stuff into the mix, because a lot of great U23 players are also Challenger cards,
Did you just say you don't play Challenger? I see you putting up Jota, Giacomakis.
Aye, All-Star in U23.
What?
All-Stars in U23.
But the amount of rewards you could win off Challenger would be, but I suppose the rewards aren't as good as under 23s and All-Stars, but you to potentially winning that league every week with the scores every time I see you, Hatate, your team's a Celtic stack, your team's
Aye, get lots of them.
really would blow the competition out the water, and
I think All-Star's better for those cards, but
well, obviously you're obviously more experienced than us, so it's not. I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you what. It's actually interesting for me to hear because sometimes I have maybe one team left and it's between Challenger and All-Star, and I kind of think, what am I going? And last week, to be fair, I put it in Challenger. My CSK keeper conceded 4. My defender made an error leading to goal. My centre mid never started, the Kettler. Tadic got 125 points as captain. And Noah Lang got an all-rounder like 30 something, so he ended up with 70. So if that's not a mixed fortune, then what is? But like you said, maybe I would have been better just going into All-Star, and
I
it's
think
interesting.
I think the prize pools are just much fairer in All-Star. You know, if you get a top-end tier 1 in All-Star, like it might be Asian, it might be this, it might be that, but it will be a top-end tier 1. Whereas if sometimes you get a top-end tier 1 challenger, it might, in the grand scheme of things, might be quite crap. And maybe it's a tier 2 in global, but because you're in challenger, it's a tier 1 because it's a region rather than the whole shebang.
Funny you said that, because I put my team into All-Star one time. It was All-Star and I got 350 points, and I went and looked at America. It was an Atlas stack, and if I put it in America, I was getting a tier 2 high, but because I was an All-Star, I got a tier 3. So does that, just for everybody listening, does that depend on the weekend? For instance, see if you hit 350 one week in All-Star, it would be a tier 3, but in America it would be a tier 1. Could the opposite effect happen? Is it just depending on people's scores, or do you think it averages itself out and the rewards are similar?
I think all the regions are a little bit different, right? So, like, champion is like, you know, the high rollers table. It's all the big expensive teams and Bayern stacks and whatever. But see challenger, see people who are really good at challenger, in my experience, is either people on a low budget who are like laser focused on fixtures and who's rotating in and getting bargains. Oh, this guy's only 40 quid and he does this and whatever. Or it's guys like Stish and all the other people I talk to on Twitter that stack Zenit, stack Salzburg, stack Ajax, stack Porto. Mix them up, do this, chop them into pieces and do that. So you've either got people who are like super motivated to like underdog it and grind it out, and then you've got people who have just got big power stacks. So for me, challenger, like, as a region, or all the regions have little things like that going on, in my opinion. But for me, challenger is just like, I see it as more competitive than champion Euro. That's why I'd never play any cards there.
It is really competitive, like you said. I think like I don't actually, like, I always look at like where the stacks are coming, but I don't really own any stacks. So like I kind of look at fixtures maybe in the regions. A lot of my cards are under 23 challenger cards, so I can always kind of like look at one or the other. And this week, I think, like, looking at the fixtures, a lot of cards are going to be out of the pool in challenger, but you said that there's always that it's also taking them out of U23. And when you look at like no Ajax, no PSV, no like Sporting and Benfica having a really tough game where maybe a lot of the U23s sit on the bench, especially after Benfica banging 3 goals in the week against Liverpool. Like, there's going to be rotation in that game as well. Probably not a lot because of their opposition, but again, there's so much to think about. I did have a little look. I know, like Tony was saying last week about looking at the percentage of cards available versus the amount of entries, and I looked at that last night, and Challenger Pro and Challenger Rare look really appealing. And also the prize pools in terms of the players available. If you look at the top tier, like tier 1s, tier 2s, the top of those lists in U23 this week, none of the like really good players in those pools are there, whereas they are in Challenger, which is again, like, beyond even looking at the amount of cards, the quality that's available in that Challenger pool has me looking at like leaning some of my better cards, or the cards I think might score better, into the Challenger Pro and Rare divisions this weekend versus what I usually U23 is like my go-to. That's where I put my best teams. But I think also, like, for me, a lot of my supers are not playing because they are Belgian and they're a Divisi cards. So like, my spread of availability on what supers I have, I've got Eric Martel, who flopped for me last weekend. I was gutted. I needed a big score from him and he hit a 38 in like that last game. I was like 400 plus with a game to play, and he hit a 38 as my captain. I was gutted, but I still managed to land in the cards there, so that was good. But so I've got him this weekend. I think Diviv, I'm seeing Diviv is potentially available this weekend, so I might even squeeze him into one of my better sides, because if he plays, he scores pretty well. So fingers crossed. I think I'm going to keep an eye on the news right up to tomorrow morning and just hope that I can see something that gives me a bit more of an indication he will play. But come
That's
like
so
Tuesday,
because our chat.
yeah, we're seeing like Tuesday last week, the manager said that he should be available on the weekend. So as far back as Tuesday, I'd imagine, with a few days to play, you'd like to think he's got some good training in this week and hopefully he's fit. So yeah, I think I might be looking at Challenger Pro, Challenger Rare as like my two main the main points of play, and then because of like the lack of maybe U23 like really strong options, I might even target All-Star a bit more this weekend and see how we get on there.
Makes a lot of sense. No, makes a lot of sense. Anything else, boys? Any predictions? He's going to win. What are we finishing the positive energy on? Are we going to win cards this week? Because I believe I'm going to win, and I've not even looked at my team lines yet.
Manifesting it early, yeah.
I'm putting it into the atmosphere. I'm putting it out there. You're getting a tier 0. You're getting a podium. I'll take a tier 2.
I'm always anything over a tier 2. Well happy with that. Well happy with that.
Right, no, another good podcast, lads, and thanks for having me, obviously, and we'll do it again this time next week.
Yeah. Good luck, all.
Pleasure, boys. Good. Oh.